Good afternoon or good morning, everybody, depending on where you are in the country. I want to get this session started. We'll have about an hour or so. This is going to be a pretty fast-paced session. It's going to be a show and tell demonstration of various technologies, just high level so that we can get an idea of what kind of resources are out there and what are instructional designers using and how can we be more creative in our classes. So this session is called When High Tech Becomes Hot Tech, and it's extremely hot right now. Educational Technology Showcase. I'm Dr. Sean Nufer, the Director of Instructional Technology at TCS Education System. My email is right there at the bottom of the screen. And this is the extent of my PowerPoint presentation that I'm going to show you. 2 slides, and so I'll go ahead and get rid of that. We're going to dive into a Canvas course that I created. And to begin, I'll go ahead and start by copying this into the chat window there. So you have, this course is public, meaning you shouldn't have to be logged into Canvas to access it, or maybe you do, but you don't have to be part of my institution or enrolled in the class. So you should have access to this course if you want to go through it with me. I'll actually go, I have an incognito window so I can see the student view, the Gentile view, I'd say, instead of the administrative backend. And so this is essentially the outline of our session today. I'm going to be talking about various instructional technology platforms and giving examples of each of them. And I'd roughly combine them into modules where platforms are somewhat similar to each other. All of it falls under educational technology, but let's begin exploring. So the first one that I have at the top of the list, and I'm going to be covering a lot of free software. A lot of it is free with an educator's license. So if you have an EDU email address, then there's some kind of license that you're able to obtain. A lot of these products, of course, they give you the educator license, but if you pay a little bit of money, then you get a little bit more functionality. In some cases, a great deal more functionality. I'm focusing a lot on the free and cheap resources, but also showing some of the more robust and paid licensing platforms that are out there. We'll start easy, going with Prezi. So most people know about Prezi. It's an alternative to PowerPoint, except for instead of a slide deck, like a carousel, like the traditional slideshows that you used to see, this uses more of a canvas. And the good thing about Prezi is that you can link to Prezi, and it can be its own website, or you can embed it right within Canvas. And so here's an embedded Prezi. I'm still within Canvas, and this is a presentation that I did a few weeks ago. And you can zoom in, zoom out. You can go from one area to another, or you can go sequentially. There are slides, and so you can zoom to, and there's limited amount of interactivity on each slide, but there's some. The animation is mostly making things appear on the screen. You can zoom out and zoom in, and that's Prezi. Most people know about Prezi. Prezi is very easy to embed within Canvas. So this is a content page that I have Prezi here. And the good thing about embedding content in general is because you can create a content page that you can have other text and other information in addition to the embedded content. So to embed it, I captured some screenshots. You'd go to your Prezi account. You're going to see a thumbnail of each of your Prezi presentations. Just hover the cursor over the thumbnail that you want to embed. Click the Present button. There's an Embed button once you're on the page. So you'll click the Embed button and it'll give you some code. And that code, you would just copy and paste it right into Canvas. So to show what that looks like, and I know we're talking HTML. We're not going to get too much into HTML, but I will touch on it a little bit later. But I think this is important to know. You don't have to be afraid of the HTML editor. It does look ferocious and scary. We're used to the rich text editor, but if you click on that HTML editor in the corner there, you're going to have a bunch of gibberish. And so on this page here, the code that they give you, it's an iframe. This is HTML code. You would just copy that exactly as it is, and you would paste it right on the page. And I would recommend perhaps even copying and pasting that first. So this is an example of the code for that Prezi and put it at the top of the page, and then you can hop back over to the rich text editor. It'll give you a placeholder right here, which is this grayed out box, and then you can add other content beneath there. You'd go ahead and save that out, and then you have an embedded Prezi within the page. And the students can play that right on the page. So Prezi is our first stop on this adventure. Next, I'm going to discuss an interesting platform. This is part of Microsoft. It's an add-on to Microsoft called Office Mix. In Office Mix, I have let me just pull up this my 2-slide slideshow, which is all the slides I'm using for today. Office Mix is an add-on, meaning there's a separate ribbon that will appear on the screen. And traditionally, you can add audio, you can add some interactions to PowerPoint. This ups that capability and performance. So it gives you a slide editing screen where you can have video if you wanted. I have no camera selected. Let me put my video on real quick. Okay, here am I. You can record. You can make annotations as you're recording. So here I'm recording. I see a countdown. I can stop it. I can mark things up. I can do circles, underlines, highlight portions of it. I can go back later and edit all of this stuff as well. I can change it to a thicker pen, a thinner pen. If I minimize it, I can see more options. I can see where my camera is. I can see slide notes if I had slide notes, and then I'd stop it. And you can do that over the course of many slides. Let me try that. So here's this slide. I'm on slide 2. So I'm going to go ahead and stop that. Overwrite the recording. No, I don't know. And here's my webcam. I can see that. As I close it out, then I can see here's my webcam. I can change the webcam. I can make it small. I can put it in the corner. I can see myself. Let me mute that so I can see my recording. I can add a quiz to the slideshow. I can add a screen recording, which means I'm going to record part of a screen, such as this, and then I can click the record button there. I can hide the pointer. There are various options that you can use. I can take a screenshot, either capture one of the screens on my computer or take a particular screen clipping, which is different than the screencast because the other one records. This one just has a picture, and so I can put pictures on there. And then I can upload that to my Office Mix account, which would be my Microsoft account. And if you're a Microsoft school, then it would be single sign-on, so you just use whatever email you log into the library or Canvas or your email. You would have that integrated, and then you can see your mixes and you can upload the mixes. And I'll show you why that's important, because when you upload it to Office Mix, then you can embed it right into PowerPoint. So here's some examples of that. My example there was not professional. I'm not very good at that, but here's some examples of other Office mixes.
Today you're going to listen to
So Peter and the Wolf, she says, we're going to listen to a song. Then she has a clip. I don't know if you can hear that, if my microphone's picking that up, but it's a scene from Peter and the Wolf.
The French horns
and
playing the wolf.
then it says, okay, that's the wolf. And I can also see a table of contents here. So it plays some music, and then it says the character from the play. I can maximize that to full screen. And then there's a quiz at the end that they embedded. This is all within PowerPoint. So which instrument is played by, or played the duck? And that was, imagine, I don't know, the oboe, I guess. Looks like I already took the quiz, so it remembers. So it's quizzed.
Peter and the Wolf.
So that's an example of an Office mix. It's a PowerPoint, but it's a much more robust PowerPoint. Here's another Office mix that somebody did where it's a video how to create an infographic in PowerPoint. And this is already pretty fast, but I can speed that up even more. It's playing at 1x. I can slow it down a little bit, or I can speed it way up to 2x. And so this is just a person taking shapes and drawing characters and showing you how to draw the characters. There's a table of contents, so I can skip to
Here you can see the shapes that
this portion. You see her talking head in the corner up there.
And this is what are finished.
There's some voiceover. She could be marking this up. And then the next example of Office Mix, the last example, is this is a much more robust. This is an Office Mix on how to create an Office Mix.
Thank you for taking time.
I'm going to go ahead and mute him and talk over him. So this is a PowerPoint slide, nicely done with a placeholder and information, and then his talking head is right there. He could place that talking head anywhere on the screen, and he can edit the video as well. And so I'm going to go ahead and I see the table of contents, but if I actually skip ahead a little bit, then he created a PowerPoint slide where all of these are hyperlinks to other places within the presentation. So it's a sort of table of contents by itself, and you can skip to the various portions, or he has a table of contents of all of the slides built in. The difference would be that these are thematic table of contents, so he determined maybe it's, oops, sorry, let me pause that slide real quick. There might be 2 or 3 slides that cover this concept, online presentation, use cases for education, whereas this shows every single slide, so 18 slides, but really there's only about 8 topics. And so you can click on that and you can jump to that portion. So you can see a time bar at the bottom of the screen. You can see a bar with, and if you hover over it, you can see the thumbnail of where that is. So you can see how much you've progressed. This is about a 31 minutes Microsoft Sway presentation, and I can make that a 15-minute Sway presentation by doubling the speed. There's also captioning abilities. So it's a very good platform, and it embeds cleanly right into Canvas. And there's also an LTI integration, and so to embed this into Canvas, I went and used the HTML code, and I grabbed some embed code and I pasted it in there. But there's an LTI that you can integrate, and it'll create it's an orange Microsoft Office Mix button here, and you click on that. That'll take you to all of your mixes that are online, and then you can just choose one and it will embed cleanly into there. I like embedding onto content pages just because that ensures that I can have other content on the page in addition to the presentation. So that's Office Mix. All right, next we're talking about another Microsoft product which is called Office Sway. It used to be called Microsoft Sway, and it's hard for me not to say that, but it's called Office Sway. Office Sway is a very simple platform. It's sort of like PowerPoint, except for instead of slides, you have cards. If you think of index cards, and you're arranging a presentation using index cards, and the end product turns out to be more like an ebook rather than a PowerPoint presentation, a linear presentation where you have slides and you go to the next slide. So this is a sway that I created last fall. I was presenting to board of directors at my institution, and I have it set up sort of like a PowerPoint presentation, so it goes from one slide to another. And you can see I put in an image gallery, and so I have image icons down here, thumbnails that I can click through. I can advance to the next slide. If I click this button, I can see a sort of table of contents. I can maximize the screen to full screen. And Office Sway is interesting because it's very adaptive, very responsive in its design, and it looks good. It renders very well on mobile devices or on large monitors, and it'll adjust, and it's pretty optimal. So you can have other slideshows such as this. I have all the icons at the bottom, and I just clicked through, and then I can advance to the next slide, and here's these images shuffle. And an interesting thing is that I have that set up so that it presents sort of like a slide deck, much like PowerPoint would. I can change that to have a vertical or a horizontal layout as well. So what that looks like, if it's vertical, then it's all one fluid motion and I can scroll. And once I get to a break with an image gallery, then I can pause. But I can walk right through the presentation in a linear fashion as well. And the horizontal layout, I think, is also pretty interesting because it reads from left to right, much like an ebook might. So I can scroll from left to right and I can scroll through my presentation. And so it's very interesting. You can put pictures, obviously. You can embed tweets, videos. You can even take a web page and web content. You can take a Wikipedia page and download it as a PDF and upload it into Sway, and it'll create the Sway for you using the sections from Wikipedia. It'll create sections in your presentation automatically, and then you just edit those sections. So that conclusion, that would be the reference page and the various information. So I'll just take you real quick through a few other examples. Here's an example. This one's called The Universe, and these are just templates that I grabbed from Microsoft. You can say, what is the universe? And you can scroll. I can change this to scroll vertically if I'm more comfortable with a vertical scrolling. And as you create your Sway, you can lock that down. You can make it so people don't edit that. But here's the scrolling, so various information. And this is embedded content again, so I can have additional content on my Canvas page in addition to this Sway. This doesn't have to be the entire presentation. Charcoal is an example of a more artsy interaction, I would say. So they use linear, and you can see these images shuffle, and it's very easy to do these interactions. I can maximize this as well and scroll through from one to the other. And all of these themes, you can customize the themes, the backgrounds, the fonts, the general styles. And I can take an image and scroll through it. So they can be presented grid-like, the images, or they can be presented in a stack that you shuffle through. There are a lot of very interesting capabilities, and that would be an animated picture right there. There's also a Sway template that you can find on the Microsoft webpage, which is a Sway that essentially tells you how you can build a Sway. So it teaches you about all of the different styles. You can customize styles. You can do a thing where you remix the style, which means they shuffle everything up, the look and feel of the entire thing. And an interesting thing is that you can embed a great deal. If you can embed anything, then you can put that content in a Sway, including another Sway. Sway is embeddable content, meaning this is how I'm presenting this here in Canvas. I embedded it. You can take a Sway and embed it in another Sway, kind of Swayception, a Sway within a Sway. How deep can you go? And the answer is all the deepness. You can keep going, and there's documents as well, pictures. I'll show you another template. Again, feel free to access this course and go through these at a slower pace. But this is one that they created that sort of replicates a PowerPoint presentation. So it's linear. It looks like slides, but the slides are somewhat interactive. Let me maximize this for you. I can scroll. I can have a scroll box at the bottom there. And this is what I want to show you. You can put PDFs or videos or documents right in this way. So here's a journal article, and I can maximize that journal article, open a new window. I'm going to not do that. Just be creative and imagine that I showed you that. Yeah, so I like this example because they have a lot of research articles embedded right in this way, and so they can access that content as well. So you can be very creative in the way that here's a video, just a YouTube video. YouTube's great.
Many of our creative
it's very easy to embed YouTube videos in pretty much everywhere. So that's the creativity one. Since we just had Pi Day, somebody made a sway dedicated to Pi, and meaning both ways. So a history, you can see all the interactions. Some of these are videos. Some of them are animated pictures in there. And you don't have to be a design expert, or you don't have to know the back end in order to do things like this, because there are various templates, and they'll help you make something very engaging, and it's sort of like an ebook. And so that's Microsoft Sway. That's various examples of Microsoft Sways. Let's see, John is asking, are both Universe and Charcoal options within Sway? Those are actually options. If you go on to sway.com, those are templates that you can start from the templates. So say start from a template, get some inspiration. That's where I got some of these. So here's, I don't know if that's where's the charcoal. The charcoal is somewhere, you might have to find it, but then you can click on that and you can copy it. Of course, the author might have a sway that's private or that you can't copy, but you can take somebody else's sway and work from that and change a few things around, perhaps. So I can duplicate this sway, which will obviously make a copy of it, but put it in my account, and so it'll be listed with my sways, and at that point I can edit the sway. And you can create sways and upload them and share them with the community as well. Creativity and Pi Day are also, I think, templates that I just pulled from. The only one of these examples that I would say is original is this Trends in Ed Tech, which is a presentation that I created internally. PowerPoint, we know what PowerPoint is, but I just wanted to show a couple of examples. For one, in case anybody doesn't know, PowerPoint can be, the file can be uploaded into Canvas, and you can put it on a content page so that it plays, or you can just link out to the file. So this is on the modules page here. What I did is I clicked on the module, and then I click on File, and I looked for that PowerPoint file, and I included that on the page here. And what that does, there's good and bad. It makes it very simple. The student can download it by clicking the link right there, or they can view it within the player, which is powered by Box. It sort of turns the PowerPoint presentation into more of a PDF, I would say. They can scroll through the slides, they can enlarge it, they can make it full screen. What I did with this presentation, instead of a linear presentation, I created a slide with colors at the bottom, and these are all hyperlinks to different slides within the presentation where it changes to that entire color. So I click on the orange, and the yellows, and the blues, and the greens, and it changes. Now the drawback is that you can see a little bit of the other slide. Even if I maximize it to full screen, you can see other slides appearing, and you don't see the notes. If there are any notes that you have that you would like the students to have access to, they're not going to see that just by having a file within Canvas. But if all of the content is on the face of the slide and you don't mind it looking sort of like a PDF, then this would be a good option. Another option would be to take that PowerPoint and convert it into a mix, put it on your mix, in your mix account, and then you can embed it onto the page. So I have a link here to view this mix. Click that link. That link will take you to my mix where you can see it in its space in the Office mix area. But I also embedded it in there. So if you sign on, you can grab the embed code as well, and you can embed it right on the page. And that plays a little bit better, I think, because the mix has its own player, and so you can embed the entire player, meaning it looks a little bit more smooth, and that you can't see the other slides. And I can maximize this to full screen, and so you can see clicking around. So it's a simple, more clean interface, I would say. And with embedded content, then you can have like this, the benefit of embedded content is that you can put other content on the page. And if you do the file upload, like the previous screen, then you're limited to only that file can show on the screen. So you'd have to have a separate page if you wanted more than one PowerPoint presentation. So that is So that's PowerPoint. Now I talked a lot about some free stuff that is available. I'm going to talk about a much more robust platform, which is Storyline. And you have the link to this page. You can read through this. It's just a high-level overview of what Storyline is. They made it so that it looks similar to PowerPoint in that it has the ribbons up top, Home, Insert, Design, and they look vaguely similar. But then you have, in addition, you have a timeline at the bottom where you have various elements on the page, and you can time those, you can place them, and more importantly, you can add triggers to elements. So this orange, yellowy shape up here, if I hover over it, maybe I can make it an interaction appear. A box could appear, or another layer can appear. I can hide layers, and it's much more sophisticated, the fact that you have triggers. So this is more advanced instructional design software, but just wanted to make people aware that this exists, and it's a very good platform, I would say. So I'm going to show some examples of what a storyline interaction might look like in Canvas. This is an interaction I created as a demo. My institution, I have an image up top, I have an icon down here, some basic words, and then these are all hyperlinked, and I have them programmed so as I hover over, then it highlights the box, and if I click on it, then it changes to a different layer. You don't know that it's a different layer necessarily, it just looks like one screen with various elements. So I can scroll, and I can put more information in this box. I can put a, I forget what it's called, the scroll bar, so that I can have much more content. I can make things interactive. I can make it so this image, as I hover over it, then a box would appear, for example. So that's one example. That's a tabbed interaction. Excuse me. Here's an, I titled this e-learning overview. Similar concept, but as I hover over these different elements, then the content in the middle changes. And then as I leave, then it goes back to the original content. Additionally, as I hover over this, then I get a box that describes what that is. If I click on it, then I have another box with information, and I can close that box out. And I can also put hyperlinks. I don't think that hyperlink is active. I think I removed that document. But that's an example also of what you can do with Storyline. For something much more robust, this is a course that kind of a dummy course that I created. So it's welcome to heuristics, judgment, basically behavioral economics. So this little person talks me through. I can see the different objectives for the course. Click on the next and previous buttons. And then the way that I set this interaction up is that these are different modules. And so as I progress and I complete the modules, then the course completion bar goes up until it's full once I've hit every single margin. And so if I click on that, then I get an example, maybe a case study. And so it talks me through different concepts. And say, here's an interesting one. So these two players, which one do you think holds a record for the NBA dunk contest in the All-Star game? Find out the answer. It's the little guy. He's won the NBA dunk contest 3 times. And I also pointed out that 5'9" is only short in the NBA. I'm 5'9", that's average. I'll tell you that. Average height, right? And so I have other interactions on the screen. And as I progress through, this is a pretty lightweight module, and I can return to the course navigation. Since I completed it, you can see that it's partially complete. Now, Storyline, one drawback is that it's SCORM compliant. It doesn't have an LTI app yet, and so the main score, if you were to use some kind of quizzing assessment, excuse me, then the ultimate score or the end score would translate into the gradebook, but you wouldn't be able to see how much time students spent, which questions they missed or had problems with. So there's some limitation there. But in terms of just content presentation, this is a very good platform. You have a menu up here that you can hide or include resources. Here I put some PDF articles, some glossaries, and so I can see the definition of various terms that are used throughout the course. And so that's a kind of a self-supporting e-learning module right there. Now I'll get to something more lightweight. This is an interaction I created. I call it Camping Checklist. So there are two ways you can interact with this. As I hover over the words on the left, then you can see the arrow on the right points out what that is. In case you don't know what matches are in a fire starter, then it points to the matches in the fire starter. And likewise, if I click on the matches in fire starter, then it tells me a little bit about that item. So I can close that down. I can click on the various things on the right, and in this case I say why they're important, what they are, why they're important. And these are done just with hotspots. So I have a list here, and then I have hotspots. As the mouse hovers over, then I say there's a layer, and the layer has one arrow, and just reveal the layer. As I hover, if I stop hovering over it, then the arrow goes away. And likewise, I put hotspots around the items, and if I click on it, then the list disappears, and I see a box. And so there are lots of layers. It looks very flat, but there are lots of layers and lots of triggers. But it's from the user end, it's a very simple interaction. The APA interaction, I noticed moments before I started this webinar that I actually uploaded the wrong one. But the basic concept is that I have tabs up at the top, and as I click on that, then these all have hotspots, and so items appear. And this is just boilerplate. This is supposed to be actual like APA formatting, examples of formatting. So two authors, author as an organization, two or more works by the same author. How would you do that? And so it'd be information, kind of a help guide. And so I can see, how do I do an in-text citation for a paraphrased long idea? I would have the example up there. So very interactive in that sense. Unit template is, this is a template that I actually downloaded from the Articulate Storyline site that I thought was very creative and unique. So you can have your information right there, and then you have different tabs, and so you just go sequentially through the content. And it's an example, something similar that I've already shown you, but a different way that you can format it and style it. And I think it's a very good way. So here's a little quiz. I did not select the right one. Here's another quiz. I'll select the third option. I did not select the right one. I did not score well on that. And then that score could be passed on to the gradebook. All right. So that's the last storyline example. So this is Canvas Multimedia. This is just a quick shout out, nothing really in depth that I would talk about, but we have a lot of tools available, a lot of third-party platforms that I'm talking about, but also look to Canvas, look at our own learning environment and platform, and make use of that. So Canvas Multimedia, I imagine that people are familiar. I hope that people are familiar with this, but this is just a content page, a regular content page with the rich text editor. As I click on the record upload media button, then I have four options. I can either record my webcam video of myself or my microphone only, or if I have existing content, audio or video, then I can upload those. And so to do that, it's going to ask, this is Flash Player, it's saying, can we use your microphone and your camera? So record a video, yes you may. I have to select which camera do I want to use, and here am I. And so I can it can't be really any easier than you click the button and you start recording, and then you stop it. You click the button and you stop, and then you save it, and then it put it somewhere. I don't know where it's clicked. So it'll have a placeholder right there, and when I save that, then it'll save it as a video. And so I'm not going to save that one necessarily, and apparently you can't delete it once it's done either. As you go into the code. So, well, that's the gist of the multimedia. Now, where can you have multimedia? I'm on a content page, so I can put a video on my content page, but you can also put it on the course home. You can put it on any of your announcements, which is a great practice, by the way. If you were to make an announcement every week at the beginning of the week and tell the students this is what we're going to cover, and just put your talking head up there. Or if you create a screencast, which we're going to talk about, record it and then upload it as video in your announcement. It's a fantastic practice. You can put it on assignment pages as well. In the gradebook, as you're giving feedback to students, there's a multimedia button right there, and you can record yourself talking to the student instead of just text. Discussions are interesting because you can put it in the content of like the discussion instructions, but also in discussion posts and response to other posts. You can put video, which I think is a great feature. A content page like I showed you, you can put it in quizzes as well, in a quiz question or the quiz overview. And then the syllabus page, the course syllabus page, which of course is it's pre-populated with all the assignments and the due dates, but there's also a content portion at the very top that you can edit, and you can put a video in there as well. So you can put multimedia everywhere, almost everywhere within Canvas. And you can even upload videos into the files page and then link to those videos. So there are a lot of options. So don't ignore the free and built-in software that we have right within Canvas. Mastery paths, for the sake of time, I'm not going to go over this other than the fact that this exists. Mastery paths, it's fantastic, and it's a way that you can really adapt the learning to the students. I do have information on those here. And I apologize that I can't go over it in more depth, but do some research, look into mastery paths, because I think the adaptive way that you can set up modules is a great step that Canvas has taken.
Hey, Sean.
Hey.
Somebody had a question about an APA help guide. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that as an instructor.
Is there an actual APA help guide available to us if we want to use it in the courses? It really just depends on your program, your school. So reach out to me if you want something like that built, or a lot of people use the Purdue OWL website. So I just talk with your department manager or your department chair. Is there something that they use? If not, you could build your own.
I can say that in all of the online courses that we utilize, we do have a link to several resources, not just one specific guide, but there are a lot of resources in every online course.
Yeah. Somebody's asking, is Sway available to our students to use? Yes, students can use Sway too. You just need a Microsoft account. And if you're within my institution, then TCS Education System, everybody has a Microsoft account, students and faculty, and Sway is available to them. But I think Sway is free even if you're not a Microsoft institution. Good questions. So that was Mark who was talking, and this is actually an interaction that Mark did. So I'm jumping ship a little bit. We talked about Canvas Multimedia, Mastery Paths. Now I'm going to branch back out to paid software and talk about Articulate Suite. And Articulate is the same company that does Storyline, which is what I talked about before. Articulate Suite is a little more accessible. It's more template-based, I would say. And so you can do interactions like this, where you can click on different elements and pop-ups will appear. You don't get to customize as much, but if you're okay with the basic template, then this works very well, I would say. So Articulate Suite is where you'd find that. VoiceThread, I know a lot of people are familiar with VoiceThread. I didn't quite know where to put VoiceThread. It's part presentation, but it's also interactive, and it's also general educational technology. But basically, you have VoiceThread as a discussion board of sorts.
My name is Michael Forster Rothbard.
I'm going to pause that down. Where you can, let me maximize this. You can have slides, which can be images, it can be a document, it can be a video that people play, and then people can make comments on it. And so they can comment either audio, like the creator here, Michael Forster Rothbard. He's talking to us right now. Other people can chime in with text. I can change that text box a little bit bigger. Or you can create videos. You can turn your webcam on and create videos as well. And people can interact. And you can see on the bar down here, these are all the comments. Some people leave short comments, 5 seconds, 14 seconds. Some people take a little more time, 48 seconds, 2 minutes. But a lot of people can interact with this image. And then it's a sort of like a slideshow, so I can go to the next slide and I can see more of people's comments. So your students can have thumbnails, images, and I can scroll down here to specific people. If I want to see maybe Jennifer's comment, then I can scroll to that. And then there's an icon right here where I can see, and this was a photographer who went to Chernobyl, and so people are talking about his images and such. Here's some references, and I can jump around to different slides. So it's a more interactive way, especially if you require your students to use audio and video components to participate in the discussion. And they can also draw on the screen. There's a markup tool. I'm not signed in, so I can't participate. But there's a markup tool where you can highlight certain portions of the document or the picture or whatever it is that you're showing up there. And they can even play the video and then pause the video and then make a comment on that part of the video. And that embeds within Canvas. We have, as educators, we have free access to VoiceThread, but it's limited. So I think you're limited. I need to refresh, but I think you're limited to 5 presentations that you can embed. If you pay them a little bit of money, then you get more capabilities. And if your institution has a license, an institutional license, then I think they have an LTI tool that you can use, and you can copy from one class to another. But it's an interesting concept if you're not familiar with VoiceThread. So I'm going to, this next section, we're talking about infographics, various ways that you can create infographics and put them within Canvas. And this was an entire presentation that I did several months ago for the Canvas Live community. And so I looked at Photoshop is a basic, not basic, but an advanced photo editing platform. There are free alternatives out there, like GIMP would be probably the most well-known one, but you can go from scratch and create an infographic. If you're a designer, if you have some experience with that, then that might be an alternative, but Photoshop is expensive. Well, now they do the licensing, the creative licensing, and so you just pay per month, and then you have access to that. But you have to have a little bit of skill to do Photoshop. Another alternative would be PowerPoint. You can go into PowerPoint. Let me just show real quick. Start a new thing here. As I go to the, oh goodness. I'm going to go to the design and customize this slide. By default, they like it to be 13 by 7.5 high. I can go ahead and change that to maybe 7.5 wide. And I can't remember the limit, but I'll try 30. So now I have a canvas that is a long and tall thing, and I can add pictures to that. So let me, there's the blank layout, and then I can just add, insert pictures, shapes, photos, and you can build an infographic right within PowerPoint. And then instead of saving it as a PowerPoint presentation, what you'd do is you would save it as either a JPEG or a PNG or a GIF or GIF, whatever file format that you want, but you would save it as an image instead of as a PowerPoint presentation. And then that would, no, I don't want to save it. And that would save it, and looks like my infographic didn't, this is just it. So you can kind of see as I hover over it, I wasn't very creative in this, but this could be an infographic image. So that's another alternative. You don't have to have a great graphic design program in order to make something like that. You can also use Prezi to make an infographic. So here's an example of a presentation that I did on infographics. Yeah, it's thinking, it's loading up, but so you can see my infographic. I actually did that in PowerPoint. I took several slides and exported them as a PDF or an image, PNG, and then I used the program to combine all of them, probably Photoshop or something. And so here's my infographic within Prezi, and if I scroll out, then I can see I added other infographics as well for my presentation. So Prezi might be an interesting platform to do infographics, but nowadays there are a lot of free and cheap platforms as well that specialize only in infographics. And so this would be one of them. Visme, which I believe is vis.me, is the website for that. And so here's an example of, they just put that together for me. Pictochart is a more interactive infographic. This one doesn't have interactivity, but it's a template and you can change the words out easily. Is like the word easel.ly is also an interesting platform, and they have a lot of templates. So this is an example of something from their site. Infogram with a dot between the R and the A. And this one, as I hover over it, I can see the elements change, and I can see the data, or I can hover over the different lines and it highlights those lines. And one thing I'll mention about using these dedicated programs to make infographics is on the back end, you can make a change to the infographic, and since this is embedded onto the web page, then all the changes appear as soon as, like if I were to make a change on the back end and just refresh this screen, then that change would register and right here on the infographic. And there's an advertisement, and there's since I'm not paying for it, then they get to advertise a little bit of their product. So those are the infographics. This is a question I've had as I do EdTech seminars within our institutions is, are there any alternatives to clickers, the classroom clickers, especially for online? And one alternative is Poll Everywhere. And it's just one word. It's, let me hop over to polleverywhere.com. And you can get some free, this is one of those, you get a free account. If you pay them money, then you get more things. But you can create different polls. So here's an example of a poll, Star Wars versus Star Trek. I did this poll and I let people respond. People can either text the code to, they text the number here to this number, or they can tweet, or they can visit the website over here. I don't think I have it live, so so you can't participate in this poll. And then the answers are tracked right here, and this is embedded within Canvas, and so as these numbers change, then the graph changes as well. Here's a ranked poll that I did recently for our instructional design team. I wanted to ask them which software do we use, and which software do we use most commonly in our course development. And so I had a big list of different platforms, and I let them drag and drop them and order them from the top being the most frequent to the bottom being the least frequent. And so I was able to determine that Office 365 is the most used by our ID team, and then Skype, GoToMeeting, and then Storyline, which is that robust platform I showed earlier, then OneDrive, HTML, Snagit, Articulate Suite, and then I can see the things that they don't use much are Illustrator, and they don't use other, I guess, Sound Booth. I think people use Audacity more than, Audacity ranked number 8 and Sound Booth ranked number 17. And so you can create a drag and drop poll and gather responses that way. Another poll, this is a mapped poll. That's an example of you can have an image and allow people to click. And this is actually live. If you want to participate, if you feel like it, then I'll put this in the chat right there. Just go to that website that's in the chat, pollev.com/cheatowner, and you can point to, just click on where you live on the map. And I live in Orlando, which is right about, I don't know, Central Florida or so. So I'm going to put my marker right there. And so if I open this up, then I've already responded. I'm going to refresh it, see if anybody's, no, just me so far. Yeah, feel free to participate in this. and I'll go back to this slide, see if anybody else registers things. So to create a poll, there are various options. You can have a multiple choice poll. A word cloud is kind of fun. So it creates a word cloud based on the responses. Excuse me. Q&A, ranked order is what I did. I just put a bunch of words and then I let them drag and drop to rank it. A clickable image. You can have various images and have them click on parts. Surveys, open-ended questions as well. And then once you have, let me refresh this just out of curiosity. Oh, looks like it's not going live in Canvas, but looks like we have representation. Hey, a lot of us Floridians down here, some Midwest, some East Coast. So that's kind of a fun interactive way. And so poll everywhere, you can get a free account again. You create a poll and then you can configure it. How do you want people to be able to respond? You can have them go to the website. You can have them tweet their answers or text, and then you can embed it. There are different links, so you can embed the real-time charts, which I guess I didn't do. I thought I was embedding the real-time chart, but I guess I embedded just the regular poll. So the live results would be, if I click on that, then it'll take me to that page. So I guess that's the link that I would have wanted to embed. So polling, the various aspects of polling, I think is interesting. Now I'm going to, well, first I'll give a shout out here to Jeremy Perkins from the Canvas community. If it ever loads up, let me just put this in the chat as well. The next interactions I got from this, I think I got pretty much all of them from this thread within the Canvas community. Interesting things that you can do. Now again, you hear jQuery, HTML, you start freaking out because that's complicated stuff. But little by little, if you expose yourself to those the coding languages, then you get more comfortable, and there's some pretty interesting things you can do. Now you can't do everything in Canvas because it scrubs some of it. It keeps it clean, and so some of the interactions, like you can, it's not just the free reign where you can put whatever coding that you want. They keep it clean. But here's some stuff you can do. So here's some tabs. I have various tabs, and this is just a content page, a regular content page. I'll just put, it's going to disappoint you, but this doesn't render in mobile so much. So this would appear as one page and different sections on the page, as opposed to the clean tabs content that I have here on this page. And so the code to this is on that link that I shared in the chat window. Here's an example of an accordion. And I put here the content area is as big as the largest content of the three sections. So in that case, that would be section 2. I have an image, so that height remains the height for all of the accordions. It doesn't, and that's just the nature of the code that we're running. There's pop-up dialog windows. So if I hover over this button that's made in HTML, I can click on that, and there's a pop-up that appears. Click here for Rick Astley, because I got to Rickroll you. I mean, the English language has a verb for when a Rick Astley video appears, Rickroll. And I try and Rickroll my students at least once every term, even though it's not 2007 anymore. But you can make pills with HTML as well. You can have text with accessible popover, meaning you hover over it and there's a bubble that appears right there. Sortable boxes. These are all HTML jQuery, and you can move them around. If you have an application for that, then it might be fun. And buttons. So you can, Canvas actually has code, and I believe these are CSS, built into the back end where you can create buttons pretty easily. And then here's an example of what that first page with the tabs might look like in a syllabus format. So this could be the course homepage, for example. You can put an image, you can put some tables or visual elements, links to things, And then in order to make this page not forever long, because you know they're not going to scroll all the way down to the bottom, they're going to get bored because they're students, you can have tabbed interactions. And so you can include the content without using much real estate, on-screen real estate, but you can have the content there and they can seek the content that they want. All right, so we're going to hop over to a third-party platform. This was all native free stuff that you can learn. This is a program called iSpring, and it's just the letter I, spring, like we're in spring right now. It's having a hard time coming up here. Let me skip to the next one since we're a little bit out of time. All right, so you can have an interaction here. I'm going to click through this case study, and she talks and tells me about how would I approach this. Let me bump this down just a little bit so we can see the full screen. And then she gives me an assignment. So walks me through, very interactive, kind of like Storyline and kind of like Articulate Suite. iSpring quiz. This one is not showing up. I think I meant to not have that published. Here's an example of a quiz that you can do in iSpring. So I'm going to maximize it. This is Welcome to Orlando. A quick quiz, and there's 10 questions. I can see you click what's considered to be the symbol of Orlando. I'll click on this and submit that, and it says no, it's actually something else. I can mix and match the things, Matchbox 20 and InSync, and there you go. I can have fill in the blank. SunTrust building, it's the tallest building in the city, around 400 meters high. No, it's actually 441 feet high. Meters would be quite a bit. Which one of these films was filmed in Orlando? I could say Parent Ocean's 11, obviously not. I don't even know what problem child means. Didn't quite get that one right. And then I have drag and drops. There's a, see, over, I don't know exactly, over. That, I got that one right. And I'm going to speed through the rest of these. So the drag and drop ordered, oh, I got that right. Look at me. I can place these. That's an interesting thing. There's a deep lake in Orlando that's actually a sinkhole. It's the second most popular city in the country. You can say, oh, I think New York is first, or Chicago, Las Vegas. It's Las Vegas. I don't even know what that means. So true and false question.
Hey, Sean.
What's going on?
It's Mark again. Just before we have to cut off, somebody just wanted to know what a next step could be if they saw something they liked that they might want to use in their course.
Yeah, iSpring is a paid platform. You can demo it, but I think it's pretty affordable for us educators. I don't know if Lord.
Yeah, not just necessarily iSpring, but anything they saw today. If they saw something and said, "Hey, I'd like that in my course," where do they go, or what do they do?
So we have a mixed crowd today with Canvas Live community as well as our my own institution, and so at our institution, the instructional designers have access to pretty much all of these. Only one designer has iSpring, but we all have Storyline. A lot of this stuff is free, and you can just look it up and get your own accounts. Consult with the instructional design team if you'd like. If you're not within our institution, then you can talk to your instructional design team, see if they have some of the paid platforms. Otherwise, most of the stuff is actually free stuff. And the last things I'm going to speed through in the last 1 minute, through some free interactive, pretty awesome stuff that you can. Yeah, I don't even think you need an account, but you can get a free account for them. And start using it. So most of this, the faculty members can do this on their own. They don't really need us, but some of them you would need a paid account. So you talk to your department manager or your instructional design team. So as I go through this, I can scroll through, look at the answers that I got right and wrong. And it's a pretty interesting quiz, pretty interesting platform there. That's iSpring, the letter I and spring. So now we're going to look at, I think we have two, we really have two platforms left. I won't be able to get into the audio-visual elements after all. But this one is h5p.org. Let me copy that into the chat as well. H5P gives you activities. You can get a free account, and then you can grab all of these activities, and they're HTML5 activities, which means they'll render within Canvas. And you can embed them right into a content page. So here's an example of one. There's some quizzing. So I can go through this, get really bad scores, history of berries, blueberries. I can drag and drop. I don't even know what I'm doing here. I can check. Now I got all of those wrong, and I can see the solution. I can maximize this to full screen, by the way, as well. And I apologize that I'm speeding through all of this. It's a very interactive, quizzy type thing. You can have a timeline. There are a lot of different interactions that you can do. You just go to the examples and downloads, and you can see a great deal of presentations, interactions, quizzes, and you can customize them and use them as your own. So a couple of other examples. Here's a quiz. It's going to say, which flag belongs to France? Find France on the map. Which of these national anthems belongs to France? And you'd have to listen to each one of these and pick one of those. And oops, start again. So very interactive quiz, very fun. Here's an interactive video where they play a video. I'm going to mute the video, and then there are interactive elements that appear on the screen. So this is a recipe, and it gives you the recipe right here that you can write it down. And as you progress, then it gives you other pop-ups. Like here's a multiple choice quiz. What kind of bear is this? You can skip ahead to something else and fill in the blanks. So then you'd fill in the blanks like we've seen before. Serving tips. And so it makes your video much more interactive in that sense. Drag and drop the berries that you've seen in this recipe. I'm going to put blueberries and strawberries. And I got that point right. So that's very fun too. The last interactions, I can get through them really quickly. I know we're over. Feel free to start dropping off if you have other commitments. But so interactive images, this is also free content. So we're looking at thinglink.com. Put that in the window there. And you can log on. You can pay for it or not. There's certain elements that you can do without paying. Hover over these hotspots and it shows you various images, or it tells you information about things. There are videos that you can play as you hover over the image, just embedded from YouTube. So very interactive in that sense. Here's an interactive map, same thing, concept. There's an image and then hotspots. You hover over them and you receive information. An interactive infographic where there's information and then you hover over the parts and you receive other information. So it's a different take on the infographics that I showed you, where you just hover over the portions. Another interactive, so that you have hotspots that'll show you, in this case, identifying whatever those are. And there's information with more text, and then you can see the video content that embedded right in there. This is a Spanish content. And then you just look for the interactive components on the page. Very fun stuff. And with that, I didn't get to cover audio, video, and I apologize for that. I'll just briefly describe what I was going to show you. Jing is free, and it allows you to capture screencasts and screen recordings I think the recordings are limited to 15 minutes. It used to be 5 minutes. I think it's more than that now. For a demo, you can visit that page. Audacity is free as well. It's open source, and it's audio editing, so you can record your microphone and then you can make edits to the recording. Handbrake is used to convert video from one format to another. So if you have something in .mov as an extension, you want it to be MP4, then you would then you can use Handbrake to change it. Snagit is just like Jing, except for it's paid, it's cheap, but it has a lot more functionality, and you can record videos and you can convert them to animated images and create screenshots. Screencast-O-Matic is free, but I highly suggest getting the paid version. I think it's $29 for a 3-year license, and you can record your screen, your computer screen, capture all of the interactions, the mouse clicks, and you can edit it, and then you can save it or upload it. You can embed it into Canvas. Camtasia is just like Screencast-O-Matic, except for it's paid. It's about $160, I think, with our educational license, and it has a lot more functionality. You can make professional videos with Camtasia. And then Photoshop, we briefly mentioned earlier, is pretty much the premier photo editing and image editing software, and you can put those, modify images and put them within Canvas. I apologize that I went over, but this is a very fast-paced, high-level overview of some of the technology that's available on the market today. And I want to thank everybody for coming, and I appreciate your time and attendance, and let me know if you have any questions.